I interview and talk to other Muslims who are not a part of the Farrakhan group, right?
Nation of Islam, yeah.
And they don't like the Farrakhan group. They said those are fake, those are not the real, true Muslim.
Oh, really?
Those Muslims who come from Allahu Akbar people and...
God is the greatest, so that's what that means.
How come those Muslims don't like young Muslims?
Well, one, that's a very small minority. That's the first thing. Number two, because we believe in the last day. We believe in Allah, God. We believe in His prophets. We believe in the books that He brought, which includes the Bible, Holy Quran, etc. So we have the overall belief system. We believe in the tenets of Islam.
So you have that.
Well, no, I'm letting you know. We believe in the principles of prayer, zakat, charity. We believe in Hajj, going to Mecca.
Thing, don't they?
Exactly. So the
but
difference
they
at
still
times.
think the Farrakhan group is the fake group, and the real Muslim are the Allahu Akbar people.
Yeah, well, you have just certain individuals who say whatever they want to say, but as far as a dominant belief between both, no, the minister has been to Mecca multiple times, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We believe in those same principles. Now, the difference at times normally is a cultural one, which is the difference between, let's say, black people in America and Arabs.
You're listening to the Bean Pie Chronicles podcast. So kick off your leather socks and unpin your head wrap. The Bean Pie Chronicles is now on the air.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right.
Just want to see if you're live in the house. All praise be to Allah.
Check. 1 2 1 2. We are back. Bean Pie Chronicles. We back to back. We coming back at you real quick. Starting to ramp up content production wise. Before we get into this, like, subscribe, share. We have a special guest today. We have the Idris, the OG. My father is in the building today. So Ibn Idris essentially means son of. So this is son of the gun that we refer to on a regular basis. This is my father. Shout out Idris, Abu Idris, I guess, of Brooklyn, Abu's Bakery, the Sheikh OG. Shout out. Assalamu alaikum. I guess let's do it like this. It's been suggested that I get my father on to sort of give some context. This is the first time we're doing this. If it goes well, we'll have to try to have him back. So let's do it like this. How's everything going in the environment, man? How's things going with you?
Alhamdulillah, brother. I mean, I have nothing to complain about.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people are suffering and dying.
Mm-hmm.
For me to complain about anything.
Okay.
So I'm easy. I'm like easy like Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've said to some people, but I have everything I need in this life, and it'd be a crime if I complained about stuff, about anything for that matter.
Right.
I got food to eat when I'm hungry. I got a place to lay my head safe when I'm tired, and I have clothes to wear to protect me from the cold here in New York City.
Right.
So what is it? I mean, people are killing people for power and for wealth and for fame, and they all gonna die, and it's eventually, and it'd be all in vain. So, I've been doing this for a while now, and like I said, there's nothing to complain.
When you said doing this for a while now, you mean life itself?
Yeah. Well, 72 years now. So.
Okay. So
that's 72 solar and a little more lunar.
Okay. So what, you like 78? You like 78 in the lunar calendar?
No. Every 33 years for solar, you have to add a year. So.
All right.
When you're 66, you're actually 68.
Okay.
When you're 66 solar, you're actually 68 lunar.
Okay.
So I'm 74. I mean, I'm 72, so that would mean I'm 74 lunar by the lunar calendar.
All right. That's an interesting detail. So let's take it back to let's let's take it back to the beginning, man. I mean, this is the Beanpot Chronicles. Here we try to study and evaluate and archive and articulate what it is to be part of the what we calling as the Beanpot community, which is the Black American Muslim community. And we in this community we have idea of individuals as being pioneers of the community. Like, and I said, you may be considered by some a pioneer in the community. So when did you become Muslim exactly? How many years out of those 73 years have you been Muslim, my G?
Well, I became Muslim in 1976, but so next in 25, I mean 25, next 26, 2026, that would be 50 years solar that I've been Muslim.
All right, 50 years. Okay,
yeah,
so 50 years.
2026.
So you said 1970. Okay, so you wouldn't exactly be a pioneer, because if we going back to the, I don't know how far we want to go back and map this thing out, but I'm saying 20s and 30s was the first time black people have been sort of reintroduced to this Islamic concept.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of African Americans, I mean, if you want to include Elijah Muhammad, that's 1920s, 29, in Detroit, and then eventually he moved to Chicago.
Right.
So yeah, the 20s. No, I'm not an original pioneer. They were older brothers than me when I came into Islam that influenced me to become Muslim. They were older than me, so yeah,
You're not like the first resurrection. You might be second generation of African American Muslims. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you figure the 1930s. A lot of musicians actually were some of the first Muslims, because the musicians that traveled with bands like Duke Ellington and jazz cats, they traveled outside the country. They went to places like Morocco and even in Europe, and they were introduced to Islam. So they were some of the early converts, like Idris Muhammad, Tyrone Washington, a bunch of brothers. We know them by their Muslim name, but we don't even know their names when they were entertainers.
That's like my man Ben Dixon.
Right, Ben Dixon.
Yeah.
Yes, who became Abdul Qadir.
Yeah.
But Idris, a lot of them quit their profession because they played instruments that that were in Islam considered haram. Idris Muhammad, of course, he played the drums, so he continued. He was a percussionist, so he continued his career much later on, because the drums, of course, were an instrument that's not considered haram in Islam. But yeah, a lot of the brothers who were very good musicians, very successful, they were some of the early converts.
Now,
in places like New York, anyway.
I mean, hindsight is 20/20, as they say. Brothers who had reached professional levels of musicianship, being introduced to Islam in their travels. I guess it all depends what school of thought or who they ran into. Do you think that it was feasible or even productive for these brothers to walk away from their careers and walk away from the craft that they had honed and mastered over their lifetime? I know at that time they felt that was the right thing to do and that was the proper conviction. I'm not questioning that. What I'm asking you is about in hindsight.
Well, it's more than about the music. I'm sure that, the venues that they had perform in, the bars and all the stuff that went along with the music, the women, the bars, and it was the lifestyle. So it wasn't just the music they were walking away from. They were walking away from a lifestyle of haram. They were exposed to a lot of, like I said, it's unfortunate, but jazz was confined, to bars and nightclubs, and hanging out all night. I mean, if you know the life story of a person like um, Charlie Parker, who was one of the tragic figures. A lot of musicians died very young. A lot of the more successful ones because of the excess. Even somebody like a Billie Holiday. I mean, those are tragic stories. They were successful in their field of music, but they died very young. They died before the age of 40. Because of the excess and because of the lifestyle, because their music was relegated to the, to only type of venues, the chitlin circuit, they call it. You had to travel the chitlin circuit. You couldn't stay in the finer places as you traveled. It was a hard life. You're on the road. You couldn't stay in the nice hotels. You had to stay in somebody's
I
house.
mean, I mean, I mean,
So it's a lifestyle. It's not just the music. They left what they walked away from. It was the lifestyle of
but,
being a musician.
but, I mean, the argument can be made that this is a conflation, right? Because the lifestyle doesn't necessarily. It's a different conversation as should Bird put down his horn or step away from his professionalism because of some lifestyle, because he could have been any man of any religious conviction, or there's other circumstances that could have mitigated some of the things that you're mentioning. So for instance, if you say you don't want to play music in a bar, you could play music in a church or some other venue. So the lifestyle is one thing, but you don't necessarily have to be a Muslim to reject that lifestyle.
Well, the Christian lifestyle, the Christian practice. I mean, of course, the Christians had issues with playing spirituals as opposed to playing what they call secular music. I mean,
Right.
if you know the history of Ray Charles went through it. The church, people in the church used to picket his shows because
Right.
you, Ray Charles took gospel music and changed the words to secular lyrics.
Right.
He used to do like that, and a lot of the music tradition, African American tradition, musical tradition comes from the church.
Right.
So people like Aretha Franklin, her father was the preacher. They left. They made a conscious effort. Sam Cooke sang gospels,
Right.
so they made a conscious decision to leave gospel music and go into secular music.
Right.
So as Muslims, Muslims have a clear tradition from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be blessing be upon him, with certain instruments like wind instruments he mentioned was haram, and he explained why they were haram in terms of the wind, the blowing, the flute. We know for sure. Um, but again, Idris Muhammad, he played the drums,
Right.
so he,
And he
he
continued
was
to
able
play the
to.
drums.
Yes,
So
but
the venue
again,
and the musician's lifestyle didn't prevent him from pursuing his reality.
well, he made that decision, to continue to play a lot. Well, you look at even that. Not just African Americans, but Cat Stevens, the British pop artist. He walked away from the pop music when he became Muslim. He put down his guitar. He destroyed the guitars he had.
What I'm
He
saying
became
is,
used to.
I mean, Cat Stevens. I mean, it does he because he's Cat Stevens doesn't necessarily change the nature of the conversation. Doesn't make it more valid because the white boy did it. He
I'm
himself
just
as
saying that
well.
it
He
wasn't an
might have
African
made.
American thing.
What I'm saying
He
is
made the conviction.
what I'm saying is this is a thing, an idea that Muslims were secular or American Muslims or Muslims from Western societies, they were presented with these type of ultimatums. Maybe it was presented to them as an ultimatum, as though,
I'm sure
you know.
not all musicians who became Muslims left the genre, left music, but there were a few, who did. They were convinced in their mind, they want to preserve their Islam. Islam was important enough for them to walk away from it. I mean, one of the four tops who just died recently, he was a Muslim. Okay, he stayed with the Four Tops for decades. His name was Duke. Duke was it Abdul Duke? I forget his other his last name, but yeah.
I mean, you're saying that this
Fakir, I
brother
think
became a Muslim.
Fakir was it.
He became Muslim and he maintained his role as one of the four tops. There's Muslims. All what the point I'm kind of getting to is that
It's an individual decision. I
hold
mean,
on, hold on.
I ain't say that all Muslims.
Hold on. So this is an interesting situation because as you may or may not know, part of my narrative or something, the what we've come to discover, and I get into a lot of debates with African American Muslims about this, is that Islam is not a culture. Islam is a religion, and it's a religion that once accepted, individuals can then apply it or use it to sort of make adjustments within their culture. And
Who's making who's making this statement you just made that it's just a religion? What does that mean? I mean, Islam. I've always felt, and you've heard it expressed, Islam is not just in terms of the Western concept of religion. Islam is not a religion. Islam is a way of life. Islam is more than just a religion.
now,
So yeah,
hold
and it
on.
does. There are certain things. There's certain things that are part of you could say is Islamic culture. Islam has a culture. How could you say it's not a culture? It
Islam,
has
Islam doesn't have is not a culture, because a culture is a reflection.
you have to define culture.
A culture is a set of behaviors, norms, and a code of behaviors developed by groups of people depending on their realities, and ensure their survival within their environment. So, for instance, a Eskimo wears a seal skin coat and lives in an igloo. That's their culture, and it's a direct reflection of their environment. Arabs, for instance, wear thobes and turbans because of the because of the sand and the heat. It's a reflection. It's developed over time because of their environment. When you go inside a job and you're a construction worker, you wear steel-toe boots and hard hats. That's part of the culture of being a construction worker, because this will save you from getting your toes cut off. So it's a set of practices and normative behavior that is introduced to people to ensure their survival, and not only their survival, but their
So let me ask you a question. What happens if an Arab goes to Alaska? Will you think he's gonna keep wearing? He's gonna wear a thobe and a turban?
No, he's
in
not going to
Alaska?
wear a thobe. In order for him to survive, he has to adopt the culture of the
He's gonna-
Eskimo,
he's gonna-
because it's going to
absolutely.
keep him from being cold.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so the point is that
his thobe is not Islamic culture. His thobe is Arab culture. If an Arab is now in Mexico or in
well,
Alaska,
if an Eskimo goes to the desert, he's gonna wear loose-fitting clothes. He's
If
gonna wear something over his head to keep the sun
right,
off his head.
right.
You know,
So it's not
um,
so an Eskimo in the desert wearing a thobe and wearing sandals is not because he's Muslim all of a sudden. It's because he's in the desert and that's what people in the
okay,
desert wear.
okay,
So
okay. So
so
you said that culture is a a code of conduct, a code of the way a person. So clothing is only one aspect of a culture, but
yeah, sure.
you can't say that Islam is not a code of conduct the way a person conducts themselves.
Well, Islam is a code of culture, a code of conduct in a religious sense. Like you pray
No, it's
like
not.
this.
Absolutely not.
Let
It's not. You can't say that.
Go
It's
ahead.
not just religion.
Go ahead.
Islam is the way. Islam is the way you conduct yourself. And if you're a businessman, I don't care whether if you're an Alaskan businessman or you're a Arab businessman or you're an African businessman, that's how you do business. You're honest. You don't lie. You don't cheat. Okay.
I mean,
If you're a husband, if you're a husband,
that's not. I mean, that those ideas are pretty much universal. That's like the golden
okay,
rule.
but this is the point. Okay, that's being missed. You know, a lot of stuff is lost in translation. You know, what is Islam? Islam is an Arabic word and it's a verb. Unlike Christians, Jews, the Buddhists, those are nouns. Islam is a verb. It means to submit to the will of the Creator.
Yeah,
Okay,
religious.
okay. So,
That's a religious
well, no,
submission.
no, it means to
Because
submit your
listen,
will.
yes.
Hold up, let me
Go
finish my
ahead.
point.
Go
The
ahead.
point is, Islam means.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask a Christian, "Are you a Muslim?" They would say, "No, I ain't no Muslim. I'm a Christian." And then you explain to them what Muslim means. Muslim means someone who does Islam.
Right.
That's what Muslim means. The
I mean,
MU in Arabic is a prefix, and it means the doer. When you put the MU in front of the verb in Arabic, you create a verbal noun. And
right.
the MU, the one who does the adhan is the muadhin. The one who does jihad is mujahid. The one who does Islam is Islam, Muslim.
That's
Okay,
that's a
so
religion. That's a religion. So when you
no,
when you do the Islam, which is the religion of Islam, then that's when you're doing the Islam. If you're doing if a cab driver, then you are actually doing when you're doing a cab driver. When you get out of
well,
the cab,
driver,
you're not you're not actually driving the cab still, but you can still be a cab driver. You're not
cab driver
constantly
is the way
being a
you
cab
are.
driver.
The cab driver is just the way you're making your living, and your living has to be in accordance with Islam. The way you make your living.
Yeah, but that
Okay,
only means
so
that is quote unquote halal. It doesn't say what
it's
exact.
permissible, yes.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean what it is. What it is that you do for your living is cultural. So, for instance, if you're in the in Antarctica or something, and they drive reindeer, you're the reindeer driver. That's your job, and it's going to be dictated by what is in your environment and what people in your area does. So your job is essentially environmental. You can't be a snowball salesman in a place where there's no snow. So your job and your culture is. That's why Islam can travel all over the place, because you don't have to take on somebody's culture. Islam is universal because it's not connected to somebody's culture.
But I agree. I don't know if I disagree with that. I agree in that, yeah, you can be a Muslim wherever you are or whoever you are, as long as you don't violate, okay,
Right.
what Islam says is haram,
Right.
okay?
So
Then you
everything
can do
everything
whatever
is
you
halal. Everything is halal unless it's haram.
Unless, exactly.
So
Unless Allah or His Prophet has declared something haram,
right.
okay, then, well, and that goes back to the music. the Prophet ﷺ talked about haram music instruments. Okay,
Right.
certain type of instruments haram,
Certain types of
prohibited. So
interest.
certain type of instruments, yes. And
So if you again, I think that certain type of instrument haram. Those are hadiths, correct? That's not like in the Quran per se.
it's from the Prophet. Yeah, well, yes, that's from the hadith of the traditions of the Prophet.
Right.
He
So
declares certain instruments prohibited.
right now, I would dare argue to say it's also from the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ that if you take something away from somebody, if you come to a nation of people, people have their culture. People have what we call the aruf. This is your culture. Your culture in Islam is called the aruf of a people. So if the aruf of a people, let's say we have Charlie Parker. He's a great musician in our community as black people. We have jazz, for instance. We have Coltrane, and we have a bunch of. I feel like a nut not being able to pull off all these people's names. But you come to our culture, to Black America, understanding that we're marginalized. One, we don't have access to but so much as far as revenue, economics, our whole situation. We're under duress from the white supremacy, and then say we have a limited sort of access to certain things, and music and musicians is one of the avenues that we have some impact on. Music and the creatives, we're sort of driven into the creative world, sports and entertainment. This is the environment that we're in. So to come to America and tell Charlie Parker to put down his horn without replacing him, without giving him some other way to feed his family or to conduct himself, Islam does not require that type of sacrifice.
Well, you're presuming that somebody came to America and told the brothers that decided to put down their instruments that they had to do that. What was conveyed to them was what the Prophet said about certain instruments, and it was on them. Some of them, I'm sure there are plenty of Muslims who continue to play the music. Some of them, it's an individual decision that the individual has to make.
But you said that before, and that's what you reminded me when you said that. So when we talk about culture is not an individual pursuit. Culture is collective, community. So when you say the Black American Muslim community, there's an assumption in that language that there is a shared culture. And I think that I hear that a lot from African American Muslims when I'm trying to point out to individuals that the Black American Muslim culture is actually not a very stable culture, because there are a lot of bad ideas that have permeated the Black American Muslim culture. And
so are you saying that culture changes?
Your culture can change, but the thing about the thing about the Black American culture, as we know, it's been it's a bastardized culture in the sense that it's what we have been left with through slavery, and slavery stripped the enslaved Africans and the enslaved indigenous blacks of their culture, of their identity, of those practices that they had cultivated over millennia to that served their purposes of surviving and being dynamic on the land in their environment. So they were taken out of their homelands and stripped of their names and their religions and their gods and the culture. Your camera, you gotta get your camera together.
So they were. You said they were taken. They were sold.
I mean, yeah, taken. They were sold. The soul is the economic process, but they were taken away from Africa.
But there was various different cultures or practices amongst the Africans
Yeah, sure.
at the time the Africans did business with the Europeans.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean they were tribes. They did homie. They did human sacrifice.
yeah,
They sacrificed other black folks
yeah, sure.
that they captured and so
But
and
my only
many of
point
the
is,
tribes.
is that whatever the Dahomey was doing, the Dahomey, that's what they did, and that's their culture that they cultivated throughout the however long it took for them to cultivate that culture. It was theirs. Is the Dahomey culture. Whether it was excellent or not is not my
Not your
my
call,
point.
huh?
No, it's not my call at all. I'm saying
Okay.
I'm sure, but
Well,
the Dahomey. So are you comparing a Dahomey being in their land doing what Dahomeys do? But and I don't mean the homeboys. I mean Dahomeys.
The homie.
Yeah, them being in their place rather than being put on a boat and enslaved and taken into another man's reality where your culture, your language, your identity is stripped of you. You're turned into a slave for 300, 400 years. Your descendants put into poverty, put into white supremacy in your head. You saying that was a better outcome than being in a Dahomey?
Well, I know of an account of the Dahomey were entertaining some British businessmen, and in honor of their guests, they wanted to sacrifice. I forget the number, well, it's 10, 20, and the British businessmen say, wait, don't kill them. We'll take them. Don't you have to sacrifice in our honor? We'll take them alive. So, listen, when Islam came to the black folks in Africa, some people benefited from the Islamic, and I ain't saying that all Africans were savages like that, were doing human sacrifices, and one Dahomey king built a compound, and he on his wall he put spikes on each of the spikes all around his compound. He put the heads of people he had decapitated. There's this type of history. So, I mean, there was some parts of culture. Even when the Prophet came to the Arabs used to bury their daughters alive. So there were certain parts of culture, the Arab culture, that Islam came to abolish. Okay?
That's true. So the Dahomey, so the optimal situation would have been for someone to give dawah to the Dahomeys. I mean, I'm sure the Dahomeys, I mean, they're around today. I'm sure they're not. If they are around today, I don't know. But are they doing that same type of stuff?
The country is called Benin.
Yeah.
Okay, today.
Right. That's where that Great Wall is at. One of the great monolithic structures of the world, modern world.
Well, I'm sure, like you say, culture changed. I'm sure the homies didn't start out like that, but that's one of the places where they wound up doing these type of sacrifices. In fact, it was they just did a movie about the women, the warrior women. They were Dahomey,
right?
With the actors,
the Women King, the Woman King,
the women, yeah, and they used to do the raiding. They used to raid the other villages and cutting off heads, cutting off, that's the history that they kind of glorify in the movies that they're producing here in Hollywood. But,
I mean, listen,
culture changes.
Culture changes.
Can deteriorate, and things can get better. Things
okay.
Can get worse.
So
the whole idea of culture.
Right. So I mean, the point that I was pointing out was that you kept saying that this is an individual decision, and what I'm saying is that I find that to be a problematic idea, because like in some of these groups that I'm in, Black Muslim groups, when I'm in those groups making the point that the culture, the quote unquote culture that Black American Muslims are holding on to or identifying with, when I try to point out the dysfunction that's inherent in it, a lot of the individuals say something like, we're not a monolith, meaning that we are not in harmony, or we're not connected, or have a sort of hive mind. But I said, I don't think that makes sense. If you as a Muslim, you're a Black American, meaning you have a lineage of a Black America, and you're Muslim. Those are things that would cause you to have some kind of connectivity. So if those things are not a source of your unity and your connectivity, and in sense make you a monolith, so when you have a monolith, then you come together with a shared code of behavior, and this goes beyond your religion, because your religion is like, you get to pray. So the adhan is called, everybody goes in the mosque, everybody prays. That's your culture. I mean, that's your religion. But you might be praying next to a Chinese guy. You might be praying next to a Russian guy. Those guys don't have the same culture. You might share religion, but at the end of the day, when that guy goes and deal with Russian business affairs or life affairs or whatever's going on in Russia, and this other guy deals with what's going on in China, that's going to be based on their cultural expectations, not because of their religious expectations. And the Black American doesn't seem to understand that he is, or she is, supposed to have uniquely Black cultural expectations. You can't just say Muslim and Islam, because everybody is Muslim and Islam. A dude in Karachi, India is Muslim and Islam. A dude in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is Muslim and Islam. But at some point, they become a Saudi Arabian, and that's fine. They can go about their business. They eat certain food. They do certain things, and it is not mine. I cannot claim, nor do I want to claim, what is yours. I have to have my own.
I mean, culture could be interchangeable. I mean, you talk about food. I mean, people have their own food, but
What food do Black
Chinese
people have? What food?
Nobody eats more Chinese food than African Americans.
I mean, Chinese eat more Chinese food than African Americans.
I'm just saying, like, African Americans love Chinese food, love Mexican food, I mean,
well, African Americans are consumers, and we're from America, and we have certain advantages of being American, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we're American, as much as that's another part of the conversation, that some African Americans, not all, again, because there's no shared common culture. Some African Americans are very anti-American. Some African Americans are pro-American.
What are you anti? It's like a Catholic who the priest. Everybody loved Father O'Reilly, whatever who you want to call his name. But then everybody, it's whispers that Father O'Reilly is raping the kids. But still, so you still going to respect Father O'Reilly and hold him in high esteem when you find out he's raping the kids? Listen, if you know the history of America, it just came across my mind. If you do the math and figure out how many people around the world have died as a consequence of being enemies to America. I mean, Malcolm said, if I'm sitting at the dining table, that don't make me a diner. I'm not a diner until you put a plate in front of me and I'm eating. So yeah, we were forcibly brought here to America, sold, and so now what is so proud about to be American? Because we got a house and a 2-car garage. That means we should be grateful and proud of being American. What about all the evil that America has done? It's like African Americans. Right after the Civil War, which ended 1865, where did they send the so-called Buffalo Soldiers? They sent them out west to the Indian Wars to kill the natives. Yeah, we proud. We proud to be an American. We've been fighting. We fought in every war this country's had, and we still struggling trying to get become full-fledged citizens of America. We can come. Yeah, there's people who say, "Oh, we're American. We should be proud of being Americans." Proud of what? You're just going to ignore all the dark stuff that America has been involved in. America has never gone 20 years without being in a war, without killing people all over the world. Vietnam, I had a brother in Vietnam. I had friends who lost legs in Vietnam. For what? The type of American I like, Muhammad Ali, who stood up and said, "Listen, what I'm going to be killing those people for," and that's why he's admired to this day. More, he's admired not because he's such a great boxer, that has something to do with it, but because of the stance he took. That's what great men do.
Okay. So,
You know?
okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The lifestyle in America, we live better than most people around the world because we're part of that small percentage of people who occupy this world, who consume most of the material wealth. So that's one of the benefits of being an American. That's why the immigrants come here today and they look at African Americans and say, like, "Nigga, what you complaining about? Like, you know where we came from? We had nothing. We don't have welfare. We don't have Social Security. We don't have this. We don't have," they can't understand. They never understand why we won't claim to be American.
Well,
You know,
I mean, just now, what I heard from you, again, my point was to point out is that for a community, African American Muslim community, there, in order for a community, I'm not going to say in order for a community, but communities are identified by sets of values, codes of behaviors, and principles that they gravitate around or that they hold to be self-evident. And what I'm saying is, as far as African American Muslims are concerned, there seems to be very little to no consistency because you just spoke your piece. I have nothing to say about it, respectfully, but I can find 100 black Muslims that will argue or have a debate with you about, that sentiment that you shared is not the sentiment. And so because we have a bunch of individuals that have their own individual mandates, then it's hard to have community. It's hard to have a collective culture. It's hard to develop a culture. And so when you mentioned Muhammad Ali was in the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam had a code of behavior. Muhammad Ali didn't come to that position on his own. Muhammad Ali took the position of the Nation of Islam. Imam WD, Elijah, they was all in jail for refusing to participate in the draft for the reason that the nation chose to take that stance. But if you, as an African American Muslim, you take that position, and then I go to the next door neighbor and ask the next African American Muslim what he feel about it, and he joined the military for whatever reason. Another guy might have a whole litany, just as passionate as you said what you had to say. They will passionately say, "Listen, my family has been here. All of us have been here for 400 years. Our families, the Black American has fought in all of these wars, has contributed to the culture of what it is to be an American. In spite of even the things that you point out, those things may be gripes that you have with America, but that doesn't change the fact that you are an American. And if you don't necessarily embrace the fact of you that you are American as part of your identity. You know, like you said, nobody eats more Chinese food than Black Americans. That's part of our culture. We eat Chinese food. We know pizza. We do certain things. So unless we come to grips with the fact of that we are Americans.
Well, who determines whether we're Americans? I mean,
what else could you be? I mean, what else could you be?
Tomorrow will start it was the inauguration day, and
yeah,
the people who's coming into power now, when they say American, they mean a very distinct group of people, and they don't include us for the most part. Okay, that's like when they say "Make America Great Again."
Yeah.
Yeah. They ain't talking about African American folks, you know. So listen,
as you know,
and as far as people having alternative opinions, that's fine. I don't expect everybody to have the same opinion.
No. I mean, no. But that's what I'm saying. The individual. But see, that's the thing about it. When you say what makes you an American, what makes you American, part of the American psyche is rugged individualism. That's one of the hallmark. That's one of the hallmark signatures of being an American. And what you're saying is a very American stance to take, and that is not a strength. That's not a strength actually, because the collectivism, just like you talk about Trump and you say, I guess you're talking about MAGA. MAGA is a collective. MAGA said we're coming together for what particular purpose, and around that purpose they galvanized themselves and did politics. When you don't have a collective narrative, you cannot win, because the individuals get destroyed and collectives win. So when we talk about race, we're talking about people coming together as a collective, circling their wagons, using their resources, and cultivating their shared beliefs and putting it into a book and teaching their children. These are the things that people do but it can only be done when it's part of a collective. An individual, has no chance of winning, of being successful in an environment like this.
Yeah, listen. Well, you mentioned the environment.
Your thobe is covered. All right, go ahead.
One of the beautiful things about Islam is that, this environment, which is called, referred to as the dunya, this world.
Yeah.
This is not the environment my hope is not in the boat. I mean, my hope is not in this environment.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. When you say the dunya, right?
You talk about world.
Yeah, but we're in this world. As human beings, we are in this world. And so Islam establishes.
What are we here for?
What are we here for?
What are we here for? What's the purpose of being? Why did Allah put us? Why did He say He put us in this world?
Allah put us in this world as a vicegerent to police and maintain justice in this world by worshiping Him.
Exactly, worship Him. That's our purpose.
The worship of a human being. The worship of a human being is not the worship of an animal. Like animals and angels. Like Allah said, if He just wanted people to worship Him as in like prayer all day, He would have destroyed us, because that's what angels do. We're human beings.
Allah said that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Saying that if we didn't commit sin,
right,
that He would replace us with other people,
right,
other people,
right,
to commit sin and to repent.
Right.
But Allah said He did not create man or jinn except to worship Him. That's the
right.
purpose. And He said He put us in this life to test us.
Right.
Which of us are best indeed.
Right.
Okay. So, but the ultimate reward, when I say we we don't live for this dunya. We live for the next life.
Yeah,
It's
but
a permanent,
but this
more permanent life.
right, but you live for that as your goal, so that dictates how you act in this life. But you but
Yes, absolutely.
your acting in this life is still part of this life. So you have to go out as a human being and cultivate communities, cultivate life, build societies. This is just part of being a human. This is part of the human condition. And as a Muslim, you are supposed to worship Allah by cultivating those things that support Islam or a reflection of Allah in the things that you do. So the city that you build should not look like the city that somebody else built. The house that you build should look like the house, like, you know, have feng shui or have a musalla in there or have a place where you can go and rest your head and you know, so your house shouldn't be full of garbage and you shouldn't have dirt in front of your on your front yard. You shouldn't have rats running around. You should have a well cultivated space, so where people say, wow, everybody else's neighborhood looks like shit. I'm gonna go over in this Muslim neighborhood and I feel safe and I can walk. I don't have to lock my door and there's no criminals running around robbing everybody because the brothers got the neighborhood under control. The way that you express your Islam as a human being is to cultivate the world and shape it to match your religious conviction. It's not about just like worshiping like a sheep. Like all we know, we say all of creation worship Allah. So birds is worshiping trees and rocks. We're human beings, so our worship is intense, meaning it can look like something subtle, feeding a homeless man, or it could look like a rocket ship, or you know, whatever you do as a human being. You could say Bismillah, and it's a basically an act of worship. That does not tell you exactly what to do. It tells you the spirit in which to do it. You know.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know, I would say I'm not privy to how Muslims live outside of Brooklyn, New York. Okay, but I know there are Muslim communities in this country that are thriving, that are safe, that are doing well. I've lived in a Muslim country for 3.5 years. I've never been in a safer environment, you know. So, you know, they got us hoodwinked into thinking that, you know, Muslims are all terrorists, and if you live in a Muslim country, like you gotta, you know, you worry about walking outside. That's the furthest from the truth. Some of the safest communities in the world are Muslim communities, okay? Muslim countries, okay?
So
one country as big as Malaysia has averaged something like one murder a year. It's like crazy. It's like we think we living in America. We living in civilization. This is civilized, where people are setting people on fire and mass shootings, and we think this is normal. We think this is how human beings are supposed to live. Okay, and we so brainwashed from the media. We think that, you know, the Muslim world are full of terrorists and killers and people running around robbing and murdering. No, that happens here. That don't happen in the Muslim world. That hasn't been like Libya. Libya, one of the safest, most productive countries in the world, that has been destroyed by the Western powers. Now it's a failed state. We just brainwashed idiots.
but
We don't know what's good for us. We don't know. We think this is we have gotten used to being dysfunctional. In terms of African Americans in Islam, we're babies in Islam. Okay, we have we still got people here that ate pig guts that are Muslim, and you know, that's the residue effect of being born and raised in this country as Americans. Okay, so yeah, our slave experience. I just passed the shop the other day on Fulton Street, selling pigtails. Okay, got the sign in the window. That's part of that menu. So, like, listen, we got a long way to go, but we're infants in Islam. Yeah, and we have been affected and infected by, by immigrants that have come here from Muslim countries that we looked to and thought that they had Islam and
Well,
they were
hold
the
on,
example
hold
we
on.
used to
But
follow.
I mean, you just finished talking about the immigrants and their lands, and how there's no crime there. And I would have to pull up a list of the safest countries in the world. If the top 10 countries, most safest countries in the world by crime stats, if the top, I highly doubt that the top 10 are Muslim countries. You probably have places
Highly doubt that.
Yeah, highly doubt
Like
that.
what?
You're probably gonna have places like
Switzerland,
Switzerland, Holland, Switzerland, places that are secular, places that are secular in nature. So I don't know if that's how to a place that maybe don't have guns, a place that don't have money, a places that don't have, if you have a third world reality where you don't really have anything to do a crime for because there's nothing to steal per se, or who knows. What I'm saying is, who knows what is the cause of the low crime rates? Maybe there's bad statistics. Maybe there's bad data. Maybe if a woman gets raped in Dubai, there's nobody to call because they don't care about that. And I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying who to equate Islam with the safeness of the country might be a bit premature. And what I'm saying is that
what do you know about Libya before NATO and America destroyed it?
I know Libya. Under
Muammar Gaddafi?
Yeah, I know under Muammar Gaddafi, Libya had a very good standard of living. He gave people money for getting married and free.
Yeah. Homes for everyone, free education.
Yeah, when you have
free healthcare.
The idea is this. This is Libya was not America. So, America is if not the premier dominant country in the world, the big homie. And so
dominant in what, man?
In anything.
In violence?
In anything. In anything. In anything.
In anything?
In anything.
Oh, that's kind of dominant. America is the predominant. What might makes right? What is America? Number one in
America.
Huh?
I didn't say number one, but
dominant.
Let me say, America is dominant. America is the superpower of this planet, if not.
What in terms of military?
No, it's economics. It's a bunch of stuff. It's economic. Well, bombs is not. Bombs.
America's $7 trillion in debt.
Yeah, America can be $7 trillion debt because America has the global currency. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing that can be done about that.
Ever heard of BRICS?
Yeah, BRICS is not. BRICS is a project that hasn't. BRICS don't share money. BRICS is about 10, 20 years from being a threat to America. BRICS is not. That's
your analysis.
That's the analysis. That's the analysis of people that talk about BRICS. BRICS don't have no shared.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, and all the other countries trying to join BRICS. BRICS at this point.
Yeah.
That you think it's going to be another 20 years before they. BRICS does give loans.
No, I said they don't have shared economy. They don't have like a dollar. They don't have a thing that they share between all underneath them.
Well, you said
and
10,
they still
20 years. But
yeah,
you recognize that the dollar is collapsing.
No, the dollar. I mean, no.
They're talking about it. They're talking about it in the government about the as far as the dollar being the currency of exchange.
Yeah.
Do you listen to economists like Jeffrey Sachs?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you hear what he has to say about the weaponization of the dollar and how
Yep.
countries are trying to get away from the dollar because
Yeah.
they seize the currency of different countries.
Yes.
They don't so you know about all that.
Of course. You can do
Okay,
that
so
because you're America. Nobody else can do
okay,
that.
yeah.
So that's all.
Okay.
I'm saying is that it's hard to compare America to Libya, because if you don't have your hand in all of these pots, if you're not a real factor in the world, you're not the dominant country in the world. You can't compare America to these little countries that they can just roll up in and smack up and destroy their whole situation.
I wasn't making a comparison. I was just using Libya as an example of a Muslim country that was
how
absolutely
Muslim
standard of living was high. Free education, free healthcare, housing for the people. Nobody was starving. No homeless people.
How big?
That
What was the
Muslim
population
country.
of Libya? What was the population?
I'm not really sure.
I'm saying
I don't have
because
that
what I'm saying is,
information.
if a lot
But I'm saying-
of these small countries with oil rich countries, they don't necessarily have industry. They don't produce anything. It's just like the oil comes out the ground.
America. I don't know. America don't produce too much of nothing right now either.
America is on the
America
America
once did produce a lot of stuff, but now that's the whole thing.
Well,
America is a consumer now.
America businesses transferred their industry to other third world countries, but the innovation, the things that they're transferring are American. There's no Libyan answer. There's no Libyan electric car.
Libya?
There's no
Libya. The Europeans destroyed Libya.
I'm saying
What
even
about
at
China?
even in the height of Libya, I mean China has benefited from the fact that American industry
abandoned America.
No, American industry has moved its production to China, and not just America,
Right.
A lot of the Western world. But Trump is getting ready to fix that.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, China's coming up, but China's not no Muslim country. The Muslim countries. What I'm saying is the Muslim countries are like they sell oil. They don't produce nothing. There ain't no cars coming out no Muslim country. Ain't no technology coming out no Muslim country. The Muslim countries are basket cases. They produce oil and they buy Western stuff. The white man comes and build their buildings, build their skyscrapers, put McDonald's in there. You can buy every Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Lamborghini, Porsche, every white high-end capitalist materialist corporation can be found in all of them Muslim countries that's worth a dime. They got $1 to rub together. So I lived
in the UAE for 3.5 years, and I know I don't disagree with none of that. You're absolutely right.
So that's what I'm saying.
UAE is a little different because they share their wealth with their people, unlike other Muslim countries. The UAE, that's why you very rarely see a Emirati outside of his nation. They love their house, their home. They live well.
But what I'm saying is their wealth is based on oil, and oil is the blood of America and the Western power. So these same bombs and this same destructive power that you talk about is what's feeding those people. That same welfare money is money that Uncle Sam paid them for oil that runs its industries and fuels its rockets and fuels its battleships. So these Arabs, their hands ain't clean. Their hands are not blood free because they pay their people welfare wages. They pay those people.
I never said their hands were clean. None of that. Of course, they've been in cahoots. The Europeans have had them in their pockets since World War II.
Right.
And before that, the Brits, even before they discovered oil, it was the Brits, and that whole history of World War One, and
Right.
yeah,
And
I'm
so
aware of that history.
and so you know, the welfare state that it is, you know, that's them paying those people so that they can live the corrupt realities that they live on the high end of these things. You know, the
So
kings and the
you
amirs and
you
the
say that
whatever.
you think the Muslim rulers are the only corrupt individuals?
No, it's not supposed to be only. Like I
Oh,
said, when we talk about Muslim and you say Islam is action, then what action are they?
Islam is
What?
submission.
Yeah, but where are they submission? Where's the submission when they are corrupt too? Where is it? If we're going to sit here and say talk about America this and America that, America makes no claim to be Muslim. If you make a claim to be
No,
Muslim,
it makes a claim to be Christian.
America doesn't make a claim to be Christian. America is secular.
Yeah.
America does it separation of church and
So,
state.
well, the point I was making about Muslim countries, the country I lived in, I never had any fear anytime I stepped outside the door, with regards to what time of morning or night. Okay, it was safe. It was a safe environment.
Yeah, but here's the
Okay,
thing. But here's the thing.
It's the only time is a safe environment for
Here's
the
the thing.
citizens, the people who
Here's the
move around the
thing.
country.
Here's the thing. So the Muslims, if the Muslim is action and submission and putting Islam into action, then you would think that that's what I'm saying. Like Muslim African American Muslims are looking at foreign Muslim things that they're doing in their country and claiming it as theirs because we're all Muslims. But this is nonsense, because those Arabs and those Malaysians and those Filipino Muslims cultivated their environment to reflect Islam. And it's upon the black American Muslim to cultivate his environment, not to go to some other man's environment. You have to cultivate your environment. And that's what Islam looks like.
You fail to recognize. Listen, anybody live in any city where Muslims live will tell you the safest place around in the inner city, in the hood, is around the mosque.
You ain't been to Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, you name one city, but even in Brooklyn here, the block where Masjid Taqwa is, it's the safest block on Fulton Street, and it has been since they opened that masjid in 1981, and they ran the crack dealers off in 1988. Okay?
I mean, that's a block.
The Muslim presence in that neighborhood has made that whole neighborhood a safer place to live.
That block,
to walk.
That block,
okay.
That block is a bunch of stores. There's not really much over there as far as neighborhood is concerned. Nobody really lives over there, but it's a block in Bed-Stuy. You know, that neighborhood, that's not a neighborhood where African Americans, Muslims have cultivated. There's only one African American business, not many. The community, quote unquote, is full of a bunch of immigrants. They run the stores. Whatever of defense or clarification, like you said, happened in the 80s is 2000. There's nobody there. There's barely anybody there who remembers any of that. So if there's any safety there, that's, you know, more about a sign of Allah's mercy more than anything else, because God knows them Arabs and them Africans ain't defending nothing. And the whole neighborhood Bed-Stuy has essentially been gentrified. So, you know, you guys did the heavy lifting in the time when there was something heavy to lift. But for all intents and purposes, right now, you got, white people running around up and down all of these dark streets that used to be crazy, but they ain't crazy like that no more. You know?
No, the neighborhood has changed, but again, it ain't no compared to what it was. Yes, my point is that even that Ikwa on Eastern Parkway, there were always safe zones. And New York City is New York City, and we all know who controls New York City, who makes things difficult for people to build and to thrive. Okay, I don't really believe a Muslim community will ever really thrive in New York City. Okay, because of who are the elite of New York City, who controls New York City. They change the traffic patterns. They take the parking away. They come and they pretty much control the environment.
Well, I've been.
You know,
I mean, if you go to Queens and Bay Ridge and there's Muslim enclaves all over Brooklyn. There's Muslim enclaves all over Brooklyn, where Muslims of different nationalities have settled down. They've built. I don't know if they build buildings, but they build businesses, masjids, schools, and you go to Queens, certain parts of Queens is Muslims for miles in every direction. You go to Bay Ridge, there's Muslims in every direction. I think that that I think that needs to be taken into consideration. So I would say that it's less about being a Muslim than it is being a Black American. And again, being a Black American with this rugged individualism. So that's what I'm saying. When you have that rugged individualism built into your psyche because you are an American, you can't. That plays more of a role than you being a Muslim as to why things can't get done, because it takes collectivism, and the African American Muslim doesn't see himself as a unique unit among Muslims. So if you say all the African American Muslims stand over here on the side and do something together for themselves, and these other people don't get to play with you, then you're going to be called racist. Or even the African American themselves won't even trust themselves and know how to work with themselves and unify amongst themselves first and foremost. They're trying to unify with everybody else, big U, before they identify with themselves, because they don't understand that they themselves are a unique group of people, Black American Muslims, that have to have a set of codified behaviors that is unique to them. Black American Muslims, you can have your own cares and affairs that is only yours. It's not. I don't have to consider an Iranian Muslim or a Bangladesh Muslim in my collective's narrative. I don't have to consider what you guys are thinking about just because you're Muslim. This is about a Black Muslim thing. So I don't need to. I can have a conversation about reparations. What do Black Muslims feel about reparations? I don't care what an immigrant Muslim have to say about reparations. This ain't your business. And this and the history of Black Americans, that's our business. That ain't their business. So I don't want to hear what the Egyptian got to say about that. So because we as a collective have never cultivated, and I don't want to say never because I don't know what everyone has done, but outside of the Nation of Islam and even the WD community to some extent has cultivated and coalesced around their Black identity. I don't know anybody else who's really done that. But I think that has a lot more to do with the lack of what I would call progress. Because if you, like you said, the cultures change, and you would hope that cultures evolve to get better, to meet the needs and meet the challenges of their society. When societies change, and so
I'm gonna have to leave soon, but I just wanted to, in terms of, I agree with you with the rugged individualism concept, the idea that we haven't come together strong enough, even just using the Islamic principles is all you really need to come together. And we as African Americans have always found, I think we're too American in the sense that we'll use our wealth to buy $150 sneakers and entertain ourselves. And if you look at how we use our wealth, we haven't shown that we're disciplined enough to come together and act together and rise or either fall together, because we are Americans. We are the idea of the rugged individualism. We bought into that
To our own
too much.
detriment. Yeah.
Absolutely. We haven't the idea of community and what it takes to build community in terms of sacrifice. Yeah, we need to be more um, conscious of that to get over our being American. I mean, because that's just a farce anyway. I mean, that idea of rugged individualism. I mean, when America was settled, yeah, it worked. But now people need to come together. There's always strength in numbers and overcoming each other's differences because we all going to have different opinions. We need to come together under the Islamic principles that support. I mean, Islam. I mean, if you look at the example of the history of Islam, it was about coming together. It was about uniting the tribes of Arabia. It was about unity. You know, um, and without unity, this strong ayats in Quran talks about hold fast, take all together to the rope that Allah extends, holding fast, uniting, being united as like a brick structure, brick wall. And it's common sense. The main tool of the enemies of the world is divide and conquer. So as long as we stay divided, we'll easily be conquered. As simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, I know you say you got to cut out, but as my observation is that the African American jumped from implementing those ideas amongst themselves and took it to the Ummah, capital U, and want to unite with everybody and assume that people are going to break down their walls and have issues with everybody else who holds on to their cultural identity. And that's partially because we fail to necessarily embrace our own cultural identity and put a value on it to say this is worth something. And so when you feel like you don't what you have is not worth anything, then you're quick to trade it in for whatever else somebody else got. And I think we've done ourselves a great disservice with that. Inshallah. So I appreciate having this conversation. I don't want to hold you up. Next time, I enjoyed this. We've been an hour and a half. I'm trying to increase the amount of programs that I produce, and this was real easy for me. I had a video for you people watching. I had a video that I wanted to go over and maybe do some reviews to or responses to, but we got into it. This is my pops. We chop it up like this all the time. You know what I'm saying? So that it is what it is. So next time, maybe, inshallah. I mean, if you want to say something, I'll give you the last word, inshallah.
No, I've said enough, man. For tonight.
All right, man.
Yeah, inshallah. Till next time.
Until next time.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Alaikum
All right.
salam.